Streaming. And we should be live, and we are. All right, finally, that worked. Man, I don't know. I mean, that's depressing. That's depressing. That's depressing to come off of it and try to talk about right now. I had the I guess the privilege, if you want to call it that, of operating on Twitter for the match, and I was basically working and asking people to give me their thoughts throughout the whole thing, and everybody, it was so dejected and so.
Of course.
I don't know. There's so many things to take away from this match. First of all, we can get into the Harry Winks, Ryan Mason conundrum. Like, what the fuck? What the hell is he still doing on the pitch? We can talk about Højbjerg. We can talk about Harry Kane. We can talk about Dele. There's just so many.
Literally,
things.
we could just run down every single player.
Yeah.
Every single player we could talk about for probably a good 20 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I do think, man, like, I guess the best place to start is the team selection, right? I was surprised to see Bergwijn start, but I was excited about that.
Yeah, I was happy to see Bergwijn start.
Yeah, right.
I
mean, I was surprised because I really did think that Mason was never going to leave his, like, established starting 11, but I liked that. That's an exciting change, right?
Yeah.
Because I think everyone knows that Bergwijn has had a tough time getting started at Spurs. That's an exciting, but everyone's rooting for him, you know. And I understand that he underwent some abuse after Liverpool because he missed some shots on goal, whatever. But apart from that, like, he's a young player, right? And you want to see young players be developed. So I really like that he came into the starting 11.
For sure. Yeah, no, I was happy with the lineup when it first came out, more or less. I was utterly annoyed that Winks was in it and Ndombele was not. I was annoyed that we didn't really have a true kind of midfielder in the lineup, like an attacking midfielder. You know, call Dele what you want, but to me, he'll always be kind of
second striker.
Yeah, basically more of a Firmino, but much poorer, and that kind of deal. But yeah, so I was a little befuddled by that, and I just didn't understand how we would put in Winks, not start Ndombele, not start Lo Celso. Have a game plan to build up from the back, but not have any connection in between from the defense to the midfield to the front line. It looked like they were relying on long balls in a weird way. It was very almost Jose-esque, and I didn't understand why. And our best midfield talent was sitting on the bench. And right after the 10th minute, you absolutely knew we were a little bit fucked. We were a little bit screwed here because we know that the Winks that we saw after he made his first, and he does this a lot. I tweeted this out earlier. He shows up for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and he does something really good. He had a forward pass. He was looking for lanes to pass into. He was a little bit bright, and then he gave away position, and we were all of a sudden getting hit on the counter, and he just dropped. He dropped completely. You don't even know that he was on the pitch. He faded. He would make stupid errors. He lost complete confidence. And after that 10th minute, I was like, we need to bring in somebody like right now. And say what you want about Mourinho, he would have made that change. He was not afraid to make a change when it was so glaringly obvious. I don't know. And somebody either texted me or tweeted me like, we need an interim manager for our interim manager. And I think they're right. It's just...
It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, the plot is just completely lost, and I don't understand like how, like what the end game is here. Why Winks is continuing to play? Is this a showcase thing? Honestly.
Yeah, right. Like end of season, we want to sell him to just play him and to drive up his value a little bit more.
It's unreal to me, and I don't get it. And the fact is that Daniel Levy has failed to invest into the squad. Even the subs didn't make sense. They put Bale on, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get, obviously they want Bale to come in, give us some more chances, but Bale wasn't what we needed. The only time we actually shifted focus, was when Ndombele came on, and all of a sudden, when the ball came at his feet, I had confidence that he was either able to A, pass to somebody coherently, or B, dribble by that person and suck in defenders in order to create something afterwards. And he did those things successfully, and we didn't have that all match. And I don't know. I didn't see. Yeah, a couple of comments here. As Gua said, Ndombele instantly up the tempo, 100%. The subs, we were much better after the subs. Yes, I think by the 80th minute.
So,
yeah.
All right, here's the deal. Ndombele is our Jack Grealish. I will stand by that. He is that player that you can give the ball to, and you're gonna perk up because you know something's gonna happen. You know he's gonna do something right. I know that Harry Kane has been that for the majority of the season. He seems a little bit checked out. Heung-min Son has been, we've talked about him in the previous videos.
Streaky.
He's a very streaky player, and right now he's just in the unfortunately suffering from bad form. So you need players to make up for that. Bale can do that to a certain extent, but he fades in and out of games. And I will stand by my statement that I made a couple of weeks ago that Bale is at his best when we are maintaining possession consistently, because that means that he is able to drive at the defense, instead of this counter-attacking long ball football, because for the first 10 minutes, Bale was good, and then he kind of faded out of the game, right? So I completely understand that, like, the frustration from the fans and why they would be booing, because
they also paid 60
yeah.
pounds.
Oh, absolutely.
They're the most expensive ticket in town, playing the least expensive football.
Here's the thing, John. Here's what I was asking myself when I saw the lineup. This is the first time, and we talked about the soft line. This is the first time that fans are coming into Tottenham Stadium for well over a year, right? Something like that. It's going to be 10,000 of them. It's been a very, very rough season for anyone who is in any way, shape, or form connected to Spurs. You have a player on your bench that when he gets the ball, he can make things happen. And most of all, like I mentioned earlier, he can perk you up. It makes fans excited to see what's going on the pitch. How on earth does that player get left on the bench for Harry Winks? I don't understand that at all. And I've been very lenient on his Winks selection over the last couple of matches because you never know what's going on in the background. But he brought him on at the 70th minute. He's not injured. He's fit. He can play, right?
He must be
even at his worst. Let's say Ndombele has a bad game. That's probably around the same level as Winks at his very, very good level. You know what I mean? Like it's just different levels, man.
And Ndombele is better than a good Winks. That's it.
I agree. Yes. No. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's another comment here from Guha that they think people gloss over Ali being lazy and losing possession too many times. I don't think Dele is lazy. Honestly, I really don't. I think Dele is a good player, and what he does is a very fluid style of football where it seems like he's kind of lazy, but the moves he makes and the reason he's able to like suck in defenders and make quick moves, whether it's a nutmeg or getting to the outside line, is because he catches people off guard, because he will have almost a lackadaisical approach. Not a lazy approach, but a lackadaisical approach, and then he'll like instantly turn it on, spin you out, and he's off. And I think that's a little bit part of his game. Now, losing possession, he did that, and it really annoyed me. It was like the 89th minute,
right at the very end.
At the very end, and it was like him, Dyer, and I think at the time, I think it was Doherty, who the announcer kept saying "dirty," which was bothering me too. But it was Doherty.
That's what I say.
Yeah, dirty Doherty. It was Dyer, and then he loses it, and then we were chasing back. Ollie Watkins was off to the races, and thank God, Villa. You know what's crazy? Andres, we say this every week. Thank God the opposition wasn't clinical today, because this could have been a rout.
This could have been 5-1.
Yeah, it could have been, and that's the shame. Like it really could have been. We were just not. We were not going, and we saw this against Leeds, and I think maybe it was a little bit glossed over against Wolves, who have been poor. But yeah, it should have been. You know, with the penalty, which was a stone cold pen. I don't care what anybody says. We didn't get a lot of opposition on that.
I will say about Dele that I agree. I was frustrated with him, especially at the last minute. Like, don't try any cute tricks in the middle of the pitch when your team is chasing a game in the 90th minute. Just pass the ball, right?
Yeah.
But I do find that a lot of fans get frustrated at him because he loses the ball so much throughout the game. But there's a very fine balance you have to walk, because he loses the ball a lot because he tries things, because he's trying to, like you said, to catch the opposition off guard and trying to not go for the safest pass. We don't want him to be at the other extreme either, where he's someone like Harry Winks or probably similar to Højbjerg, who 99% of the time just passes it horizontally or makes the safest, most predictable pass, right? So I think that's something to consider for Dele as well.
Yeah. You ready to talk about the big, the elephant in the room?
What is it? There's like 18 elephants in the room.
Well, it's the biggest elephant in the room, and that's
Harry Kane leaving?
I think Harry Kane in general. I mean, today, yes, he was... So in the first half, he came back, and he was playing a little deeper, and he was trying to create a little bit. And then in the second half...
That was some Mourinho tactics, man. I don't know why they kept doing that. Because when he dropped, no one was attacking the channels. I don't know if you saw that. Like, Son and Dele were not attacking the channel. So who, like, typically under Mourinho, right, he would drop and obviously Son would go make that run. But there wasn't that space during this game. So that's why none of these long passes work. Like, I understand that Toby, sometimes he made the diagonal pass, and that was actually good because we needed to switch up from just playing to feed. But at the end of the day, it just wasn't effective. So at that point, you have to hope that a professional player understands, all right, this is not working. Let's try something else, hopefully.
I saw a different Harry today. And I don't know if that's because of my own skews or my own, whatever, or my own perspective on the situation that's kind of come out. I feel like I saw a different Harry today than I've seen in previous weeks. And I don't want to blame it on, whatever. And maybe it was just good defending, and maybe it was just good preparation. But I saw a different Harry today. And I want to believe, I want to go above the rumor mill and all the talk, but I don't know how. I don't. I feel
do you think that the players feel the same? I think they do.
I think they do.
I think they all saw these news. I think the board or the club are rightfully annoyed about the news coming out, and I mean rightfully, as in you would expect them to be annoyed.
Yeah.
Right. And Harry Kane just looks like someone who's halfway out the door already. We should probably make another video on this. I don't see anyone being able to afford him this summer. But he does look like he is already out the door. And it's such a shame, man. It really is, because to see that level of player leave Spurs at the state that we're in right now, that's tough. That's really, really tough, especially as someone who has grown up with the club, right?
Yeah, I mean, all right. It's the Harry thing. We'll have to keep venturing on. I just feel like he wasn't the same player. He didn't have the same. I don't know. The heart just wasn't there, and I think the players around him felt that. And you know what's crazy? After the first goal by Bergwijn, they were all celebrating. It looked good. It looked like it was going to be like a fun day. The crowd was cheering. They were exchanging chants. They were going down the line for everybody on the pitch. I think I even heard an Eric Dyer chant at one point, which was a very, very low, small crowd of Eric Dyer chants. And then maybe 3 minutes later, they looked like they completely lost the plot altogether. The confidence of this group is so paper thin, that a couple of bad tackles here and there, a couple of second balls don't go their way, and that's it. They're playing catch up. Andrew here says that Harry didn't look like Harry, and it felt pretty obvious. I think it's probably good overall for the future of the club for a full reset at this point. Andrew, I think a lot of people agree with you on that.
Nuke it from orbit.
That's
just
right.
Restart the club.
He's the only one who looked to walk around and applaud the fans before a few others joined in. I didn't see that because we jumped on here. Is that what happened? If anybody else saw that, let us know. I'm curious to see what happened after.
Yeah, that's what I heard as well. I had to turn it off, honestly, because I didn't even want to hear those commentators talking about Harry Kane over and over again. Dude, Højbjerg.
First half Højbjerg versus second half Højbjerg. First place Spurs versus what are we, 7th place Spurs.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Sorry about
I just
that.
saw the video from ESPN FC of Kane making his way around the stands alone. Wow, applauding the fans. That's something.
What do you think? Is that a farewell?
Nah. Well, no. Leicester. Oh no, Leicester's not at home. Yeah, maybe. Oh, it's heartbreaking. You know what? I'm gonna risk YouTube wrath and I'm gonna share this. Hold on.
If he's crying, then yeah, it's over.
He's not crying, but let's see if I can. Yeah, so he's going over. He's going over to the south stand. He's clapping, trying to get a look at his face. He's fine. He's not crying.
All right.
What do we see in
There's
his
still a
eyes?
chance.
What do we see in his eyes? I don't know. People are. It looks like. Yeah. I don't know. I don't get a good
You see,
feeling
I think
about
they
it.
will understand.
So
I think that he will
let's talk about
leave
some
with
of the good things that
good
happened
wishes
today, because there were some good
Spurs
things.
fans.
Yeah.
One, Stevie B getting his goal.
That was
And
great.
I get it. I totally get it. We lost, but there's definitely some positives, and that's a huge positive. And I really hope that he actually played well. And I get that he's the right-sided winger, and that's why he came off for Bale. Bad call by Mason. Bad call. You see, I understand that Son can pull out magic from anywhere, right? But he did not influence the game at all. At least take off the players that aren't playing well.
What happened to the positives? I thought we were talking about positives.
Fair enough. Jefferson
forgot.
Genga looked like
Yeah,
a
let's
very,
talk about
very
Tanganga.
frustrated man, but he played well
He
too.
played really well. He was strong again. He was holding off defenders. He was quick to get back. Listen, he doesn't have the forward game that Aurier has, or Trippier, or Kyle Walker had, or even Kyle Walker-Peters. But he's a hell of a better defender, I think, than all three of them.
I do think that he, when the attack comes down the left, I don't really stress out anymore. I used to quite a bit, but not anymore.
They tested him too. There was one point there was like a 2-on-1, and it was El Ghazi and Ali were both with him, and it was a long ball over the top. He had his arms out. He was tracking back with both of them, and then he stepped up and he headed it away. And I was just like, man, I don't know if Serge would have done that. That would have been, And it was just a really good, really good reaction, and I feel more comfortable with him there. Now on the flip side, I'm sorry, we're going to go back to negative. Serge Reguilon, you feel bad for the kid. He's going to make mistakes, right? He's going to earn his stripes at some point. He's only 22, 23 or whatever. If that, I just, and yes, we hope Jafet's okay and he's all right. And I'm waiting to hear about the injury news. I'm sure that's one of the things that they're going to ask Ryan Mason in the post game any minute now. But yeah, no, I felt Serge had the worst match of probably his career. He was pretty responsible for both goals and almost a third. I think this is one of those like lessons that 10 years from now in his career he looks back on and hopefully remembers, oh, this is why I don't mess that up or whatever.
See, so this is the frustrating part about this team, because you have a mixture of veteran players and youngsters, and they're all making mistakes. And obviously with youngsters, you can have a bit more patience, as we should, because this is just part of the development. Right? And that's why I'm glad that you point out that, he did have a bad game, but this is how young players grow. Why is it that Eric Dyer is still making the same mistakes he was making 3 or 4 years ago at this club?
Because he's a statue, the man.
That you cannot pin that on youth. You cannot pin that on inexperience. He has been playing in the Premier League since 2014, 2015. It's 2021. That's ridiculous. Pierre Højbjerg. Why are you just letting? I totally understandable that you have a yellow card. Why are you then still diving into tackles? Why are you letting yourself get rolled by the opposition player? Because if you cannot make a tackle, then your positioning has to be correct, right? You want to block them off because you can't go in for a tackle, so you want to block off passes. The last thing you want to do is step up and know that you can't make contact, so the player easily dribbles around you. That is inexcusable. That is why we are where we're at right now, because we have a mixture of youngsters who, of course, are being developed and they're bound to make mistakes, and mixed in with these veteran players who should know better, yet
Andrew
they don't.
And Guha make a good point. Andrew says that that second goal you have to go after Dyer, which you did, and you're right. There's no doubt about that. And the Rodon exclusion is also a little bit baffling as well. For 2 weeks in a row, I have predicted that Rodon will get a shot in this side. That the fact that he hasn't been. So here's the thing: if you want to believe that the only reason Winks is playing is because he's getting some kind of showcase theory that the next championship side to eventually purchase him, like Nottingham or something. I think I read the other day, or he goes to Spain, which was the rumors earlier in the year. Then maybe this is a good way to build up his value, because you can't really tell what a player's like until you put him on the pitch, right? Maybe the opposite is true of Rodon. Maybe we see him as a long-term answer, and that's why we're kind of like keeping him under wraps. I don't know. I honestly don't know why Rodon has been excluded.
I understand that logic, but I think we'd all agree I'd rather see Rodon make mistakes than Eric Dyer, because at least he'll learn something.
Yeah, I agree. By the way, Crystal Palace is equalizing against Arsenal. So
thank God. Because
life
Arsenal might very well finish above us, even though their season has also been trash.
I feel like I've been a West Brom fan also all for the last few weeks, and they're playing West Ham, and currently it's 0-0. So, yes. Go.
Wow. Assist by Andros Townsend.
There he goes.
Gotta love that.
Andros helping out his old club. Love it.
Hey, and Emi Martinez helping out his old club earlier today.
Declan
for sure.
Rice missed a pen? Oh, man, I gotta find
that. By the way, to anyone that is currently watching, at Juve just scored for the Coppa Italia. I'm watching. I told John that I started watching this Coppa Italia game because I want to see what real football is like, not this absolute horseshit Tottenham football.
So speaking of it, apparently as of a minute ago, all of the players have now returned to do a lap of honor around the pitch. Half the fans apparently have stayed behind. The other half turned their backs and walked out. It was a belated walk, something that they were told to do apparently after the fact, which must be incredibly difficult to do after a performance like that. So
yeah, well, kudos. I mean, regardless of whoever made the decision, I don't care if Ryan Mason said, "You guys have to go. I don't care what you say. You have to do this." Kudos. That's the right thing to do, especially after that performance.
You know what would have been the better right thing to do? To actually
play better.
Yeah.
Actually play well.
And here's the annoying thing: if you think about it, Aston Villa had 2 academy debuts today. Did you know that?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They had 2 academy debuts, and we put out Harry Kane and Gareth Bale, 2 of the biggest names in football.
Bigger than the individuals, right? I mean, our system was just absolutely trash, and Villa actually did a really, really good job of constantly finding numerical superiority, and that's why we were caught out so often, because I don't know if the players are just done with the season. I don't know if they're tired. I don't know if there's some niggling injuries are catching up to them. I have no idea. But constantly caught out on counters, but not really. You know what I mean? Like if the opposition regains possession in the middle third, they can create an attacking opportunity that's kind of like a counter, because your defenders are going to be facing backwards, right? So, I mean, overall, man, just top to bottom, minus maybe Tanganga. I thought Doherty played okay too. Like he had 3 passes, and I get it. He was only there for 5 minutes, but he wasn't shambolic, and that's what we've kind of come to expect from him. So.
The new level is don't lose the plot, and you'll be okay. One of the so obviously I tweet during the matches for all 10 of you that are watching that don't know. And one of the most liked tweets. There were two controversial tweets. One was Harry Winks still being on the pitch after 70 minutes, which nobody can explain. It's literally inexplicable. I could put a team together of scientists to try to come up with a theory, and probably 5 different theories. And then second was again the play of Dele Alli, a player who remains to be incredibly polarizing amongst the fan base. I don't necessarily agree with some of the negative comments around Dele Alli. I think the talent is there, and I think he just needs more consistent play. And I think he may even have like a Jesse Lingard type of rebirth. Just
resurgence.
Yeah, as long as
I like him, man. I
as
think,
long as
and
he's given the time.
he's played more than fine the last couple of games. I'm not really tuned into Twitter or Instagram really, so I don't really see the hatred that he's getting. But I'm surprised because he didn't have. I mean, compared to everyone else, man, it's not like he was the worst today. You know, like nowhere close. So
no, and I think any real positive forward play that we had, he was always in the middle of it. Always. You know, he was flicking on here, he was passing it out to the side. I think he had at one point he had a really nice pass to Kane, which was like inches long or out of reach. But the ideas are there, like he still has that vision, and I think with time he's just gonna get a little bit more precise. I think he needs to be part of the squad next year for sure, and I hope
John,
whichever.
Speaking of next year, you know, and like what's coming next. Do you think that this team wants to play European football?
Yeah. They all believe. That's the crazy thing about Tottenham players. When you talk to them, they all want to be playing at the highest levels, but then they go and play. No, I don't think we deserve to be in Champions League. I mean, where we are right now, I think we absolutely deserve to be in Europe. We really should be, and it's a shame that it's going to come down to beating Leicester in Leicester to maybe make that happen. Though if the results hold as they are now, that may not be super necessary. But yeah, that's the way it looks, and of course they do. Yeah, I think that's the multiple.
That's the thing, though. That's the thing, because if you want something, surely you show the desire to get it, right? And I understand that this is maybe a little bit of hyperbole and very simplistic, but given that, we literally need to be a, by all means, not perfect Aston Villa and a struggling Leicester City, even though they have had two really good games over the last 2 weeks. How do you put up a performance like that and say, I want to be in Europe?
Well,
that's what I don't understand.
He's got a good argument to that, and I actually kind of agree with this. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. There's this idea that they are better than the level that they're at without the actual results. Like, they feel like they should be in Champions League, but instead they're stuck playing Europe or lower, Europa League or lower, and that they don't deserve to be there. And then sometimes, and Mourinho actually said this back in January, February, after one of the losses, not the one that knocked us out, but after one of the losses or draws, I remember him saying, he said, some of the players feel like that they're better than this, or maybe it was the FA Cup. But that attitude has kind of resonated for sure around the club, and I don't know if we have a bunch of individuals who think that they're better than the sum of the parts, and it just goes to show you how much of a rebuild we need in the summer, and how much new blood we need in the club. Evan wants to know, do you think we can realistically move on enough players to clear house a bit and fund some sort of rebuild given the performances this season? I think yes. I think Lamela Winks are probably the first two on the list to go. I think we probably have a few.
Sissoko, surely.
Sissoko, yeah. But that would mean someone would have to buy Sissoko. I'm not sure you're going to sell somebody on that.
But that's the thing. You also have to expect someone to buy all of the other players as well. And I know that Lamela is being linked to Napoli. That's, I think, good news. I think his time at Spurs is probably up. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I like Lamela, but I don't see him getting a contract extension here, right? That being said, it's such a depressed market due to COVID that it is going to be tough to get probably what these players are worth, right? So Harry Winks, if someone offers 10 to 15 mil, we're probably going to have to take it. I don't think he's a 10 to 15 mil player. I understand that he hasn't really hit huge heights here at Spurs, but he, in a normal market, probably goes for 20 to 25 mil, especially given that he's English, right? Someone like Sissoko, again, probably going to have to accept 10 mil. Serge Aurier, probably going to have to accept 10 mil. That being said, and just to answer the question that we got directly, that also means that if we are able to reinvest well, and this is like a very, very 50% chance, because Tottenham are not known for consistently investing well in players, right? So if we are able to invest well in that, that means that we can use those funds in a depressed market. So all of a sudden, players that are also worth 10 mil, let's say in the Ligue 1, players who play for Lille, for example, who have been a phenomenal team this year. They're players that can typically go for 10 or 15 mil. All of a sudden, they're available for 7 or 5. So it's a really, really complicated answer to a really, really complicated question. I think that there's a lot of moving parts that Tottenham are going to have to get right. And to be completely honest, we haven't gotten these parts right when there's not a global pandemic. So I guess my first reaction is that, like, yeah, we're going to be moving players on. Are we going to get the right replacements? I'm not sure. Are we going to use the money wisely? I'm really not sure about that.
Well, we should be, in your head, we should be getting at least 15 million. You know, Serge is gone. And that's going to be roughly about 20, 25. You know, Lamella's gone. That's going to be 15 to 20. And then as long as you get 10 for Harry, you're looking at about 50. And how that gets reinvested, who knows? I think the biggest telling is going to be what happens to Gareth Bale at the end of the year. If Gareth Bale gets somehow re-put up on some kind of loan, forget any type of rebuild. We're going back to the T-shirt selling market. So, I mean, that'll give you kind of a good idea as far as the direction that Daniel Levy has. Either way, I mean, look, the biggest thing of all that's going to dictate the future of this club by far is what happens to Harry Kane. He gets sold to Man City for 140, 150, 175, whatever that number is. We've heard a million different numbers. That's it. That's kind of the ball game. Then you're forced.
For sure.
Then you're forced to rebuild. That means we start clearing house. I think you need to start looking at the team as kind of a spine, figuring out what's going to be the core, who's going to be continuing. I don't think Reguilon has put enough on the table for Real Madrid to give him a recall and say, hey, this is our starting left back. I think he probably stays here. I think we need obviously a new center back. I like the Matthias Ginter kind of type rumors that have been running around. I think we need. Have you seen
the Joachim Anderson from Fulham?
Yeah. I mean, or both. Honestly, why not both?
See, so here's the thing. About me and like just Spurs scouting in general. Joachim Anderson is a perfectly fine center back, and I think that he, with a little bit of development, I'm no savant here, but just from what I've seen and from the research that I've done, with a little bit of development, he can absolutely go a long way. Where does Jonchu come from? Where did Conde come from? There is a market of really good center backs outside of the Premier League that don't need to be Premier League proven.
You're bringing up Lille?
I think I'm not bringing up Lille actually, because I don't think we need Jose Font, right? I'm not bringing up Sven Botman because he's never going to come here. But there is a very big market again for really good center backs. Why are we going to dipping constantly in the English market? Especially like someone that a team that just got relegated. Yes, of course, Joachim Anderson is not completely at fault for that, but they're going to demand more money because they're in the English leagues, right? So let's see a little bit of creativity, man. Honestly,
well, Andrew brings up a good point, and I think this is something that they could always work around with the academy. But there is as far as foreign players to homegrown players. There's always that balance, especially going into Europe. You need to kind of solve. So, but again, that's like declaration of roster stuff. And if we were in Europa Conference or Europa League or whatever, that could always be sorted out. I do think, however, yes, center back is where we need to start. Midfield, I think we have a pretty decent midfield. They just need to actually play. And Ndombele and Lo Celso. Man, you know what? It's really, really difficult to not think of the what ifs. it really really bums you out if if you take a step back and you go, hey, remember when we almost had Bruno Fernandes? Hey,
yeah, that's gonna they're gonna go insane.
They're gonna
go insane.
Remember when we almost
why don't we always have Moutinho
or the guy from Juve? Help me out.
Dybala.
Dybala, thank you. How close that came, and the only reason we lost out on him is because they couldn't figure out the player rights. And I know that'll keep you up at night. But moving forward, I think center back, because I do think we need to. Maybe I think we're good on the defensive midfield, attacking midfield, and then we just need to figure out what our core is. Don't forget, we also have Sessegnon coming back, and he's still a talented player. I think Bergwijn still has a lot of talent in him, and he's still only 22. There's a lot of really, really, really good spirit in this team. We just need to fit in some pieces, and I think maybe, and I hate to say it, what if like a year out of Europe was the best thing that ever happened to this club? Look what it did for United,
it's possible.
And Chelsea.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
right.
So I don't know. It could be the best thing that's ever happened. We focus on domestic competitions, and
we also really need the money, though. Really need that money, and it's not about like reinvesting that money. It's that like the club is just so much in debt, right? Yeah. I would add to your list. I do think we need another center mid, and I think Sabitzer is a great player to go after. So I really enjoy the links that we have with him, because I think that he can do what Sissoko does in driving at the ball, but he's just so much better at it, and also isn't technically obtuse, right? Like he doesn't need 4 touches to settle the ball and pass it sideways. He would be a really, really good addition, and I think what you would prefer is a 4-2-3-1. It sounds like, with like that double pivot. I would like a 4-3-3. Hopefully with Kane leading that line, but again, who knows what's going to happen.
I want anything that wins matches. I don't give a shit what the formation is.
Fair enough.
I really don't. Enough. Like, give me something that wins matches, and I will be happy as a clam.
Give me something that's exciting and wins matches.
We used to play a 4-2-3-1 to perfection, and like.
Oh yeah, with Pochettino, absolutely. Yeah. I just think that that's kind of gone by the wayside, man. For sure. I mean, 100%. And maybe like I'm just a big fan of 4-3-3 because that's how Lille have played, and that's how Brighton play, and they just play really good football, man. So maybe I'm biased there.
Yeah, I don't blame you for your bias there. It's a good formation that's worked for us in the past. But yeah, let's see what the comments keeping up here. We need an actual year out of Europe. I agree, Guha. I think that's probably like West Ham. Oh, please, are we on the same level as West Ham now? We need the same medicine as West Ham United.
John's about to flip his desk over. Never say those words in front of him.
You're right, Andrew. You don't get any money out of the. Well, yeah, you're right. Europa League doesn't really pay off as much as Champions League for sure. The real money comes from the TV money from the Premier League, and the top 6 clubs, or even if we don't finish top 6, we're still quote unquote top 6. Get a lot more than some of the other clubs, so we still get paid either way. Just Champions League money is you can't compare it. By the way, how does Sissoko get called up for France and Ndombele doesn't?
Honestly, that works to our benefit. I know that Tanguy is going to be very disappointed.
Yeah, he's going to be mad.
As he should be.
Yeah.
But unless it forces him to say, like, I am leaving this club because obviously, like, things are not working out here and I've already missed out on a Euro and I can't miss out on another. Unless that happens, Tanguy is not going to get injured this summer. Number 1. And then number 2, Moussa Sissoko gets to drive his value up, hopefully by playing well in the international team, which he actually tends to do. Remember that we bought Sissoko right after his Euro performance. Was it Euro or Conference League? I forget, but it was right after an international tournament, and he played extremely well.
It was the Euros. Yeah.
It was the Euros. He is like well known. There's always that type of player, right? That like can just turn it on for a club, but doesn't know how to turn it on for an international side. And then the flip side can just kill it at like international games. And then for a club is quite average. Sissoko is that player. And I do hope that he is able to drive his value up there.
Yeah. Just by the looks of things, by the way, Arsenal have scored. Unfortunately.
Good stuff.
Great stuff. Great stuff. I mean, we have Leicester coming up this weekend. I saw them play against Chelsea, and even though they lost, they looked very good. They looked far
honestly,
better than us.
John. It's the same thing as earlier this season. If you show up wanting the ball more against Spurs, you're gonna win. You'll have enough opportunities, right? And it's very easy to show up wanting it more because this was probably the worst match of the season. Just like how, like even under Mourinho, man, we were not like that, you know. And I don't think that has anything to do with the manager. I don't. It's so funny, man, because like 2 weeks ago, I was like, yeah, we're gonna win out. I do think this team is hungry enough in order to just win out. Now I'm on the opposite side. And now I really do think that we're going to get clobbered by Leicester City.
Martinelli scored a goal in the 90th minute in extra time to give Arsenal a 2-1 lead. So great news all around. And just checking in on the Liverpool match, where are we there? I think we're still at 0-0. Apparently, also.
Well, West Brom's winning though.
Yes, West Brom is beating West Ham. So fantastic. Pereira looked like they scored there. Sixth place is.
What do you think? Where are we gonna finish up?
Europa. I think seventh is group. Souček on goal, was it? Great. Man, every time West Ham fails, I get very excited. But they do the same for us. Where do I think we finish? I think we scrape by because we always kind of seem to. And I think maybe even if the best thing for us is to take a year off and kind of regroup, I still think we kind of get in under the gun, so to speak. What about you?
If we lose against Leicester City and Brighton, namely Graham Potter, beats Arsenal, we hire that man the day after. Let's just do it. Let's absolutely do it, man.
I like the idea of Graham Potter, at the helm, for sure. And just if the results hold, all we need to do is not lose against Leicester, by the way, for the end of the week. And if we can do that, we will secure Europe.
I feel like it's always when we don't need to lose that we get hammered.
This isn't 4-1 Newcastle. All right, we can do it.
You sure?
Sure? I don't know anymore. We need an interim manager for our interim manager.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
All right, I think we've cried enough. But I want to thank all the comments. Evan, Guha, and Andrew, you guys have been awesome. Appreciate you spending some time.
Cheers, guys.
Us. And thanks for watching and giving us your opinion. We will have more videos throughout the week, and we will be back live after the match against Leicester on the weekend, hopefully in better spirits. As much as I kind of resign myself to the fact that maybe a year off is good, I still want to be playing for something. So I hope.
And I still want to finish above Arsenal, man. No matter what. Would love to finish above Arsenal. So tomorrow, going to be dropping a video on Coco, on Lamela, his legacy, or maybe lack thereof at Spurs. And then the day after, I'm going to be doing a deep dive on managers. So I will be dropping those videos in the upcoming days. And then see you guys, hopefully, for the post-game, last game of the match.
Thanks, everybody.
Of the season, wow.
Oh, yeah, of the season, last one. All right, we'll catch everybody next time.
See you guys.